friends, it's Mari here with another episode of Tried, Trendy, and True. Today I'm going to be focusing on my favorite crafting tool in my craft space, and that's stencils. I'm starting off here with a piece of white cardstock. This card front has been trimmed out with the Gina K Master Layouts 2 stitched die, and these are the gorgeous little hello layering stencils from a stencil bundle that Gina K offers in her shop. I love this set of stencils for doing some layering ink blending. And I'm going to start off with this stencil here. There's lots of open area, and I'm going to use my lightest color of ink for this base layer of pigment on my card front. I'm just going to add a little bit of tape to tape this down to my stencil mat. And now I'm going to grab some Gina K ink. This is Sea Glass, which is just a really beautiful aqua color. I'm going to use my Gina K blending brush here to add some pigment to my card front. Now I am going to just grab that ink and go in, starting off lightly with a little bit of light pressure, and then slowly I'll add a little bit of more pressure to the brush, just depending on how much ink you want to put down and where you want the ink to be the darkest. You can see how the darkest elements of the ink so far are on the edges of that stencil, which I love that look. I think it looks really fun. So I'm not going to make this a really solid color. I'm going to leave it slightly translucent or transparent, slightly, so translucent, I guess. And you can see here that it is, I'm just going in a clockwise and counterclockwise motion here with my brush. So I don't want it to be a super solid color. I just want it to be just a really light blend. And I'm going to be adding some layering over top of this sea glass to add some detail with the other stencils. I love how this stencil has some little circles and some small little florals as well in the background, so that you're adding a lot of detail to your card front with this stencil. Stencils are absolutely the most versatile tool that you can ever have in your craft space, in my opinion. And I love that there's so many different ways that you can use them, not just for ink blending, but you can use all sorts of different mediums. You can stamp with your stencils and all sorts of different techniques. They are so much fun, and they come at a really great price point as well, which I think is super important when you're considering what tools will work for you in your craft space. I feel like stencils are kind of a little bit trendy right now, in the sense that lots of people are using layering stencils, but stencils have been around for a long time, and the fact that layering stencils are coming back into fashion is just sort of the, I guess, testament to the fact that stencils are just a really wonderful tool and will always be a really great tool in your stash. Now this is some tranquil teal. It's just a beautiful deep teal color, and you can just see how beautiful this is going to coordinate with that sea glass. One thing I would caution when you're using a layering stencil is to make sure that you have your stencil really well taped down. One thing that I did that was a mistake, and I think it was just because I didn't take the time to think about it very carefully, but I should have taped this down on the top and the bottom. And you'll just see in a little bit here the stencil shifts slightly, and it leaves a little bit of a shadow on my project where I didn't necessarily want it, but it's fine. It looks okay. And as Jennifer McGuire always reminds us, it's handmade, not Hallmark. So you can see there it shifted a little bit. So I probably should have taped it down at the bottom. You can see it doesn't look horrible, but it would have helped if I'd had that tape down on the bottom of the stencil as well. Now this is the third stencil in this set, and now you can just see that I'm going to be able to add a little more detail. Now the question is, what am I going to add for detail? Because that second ink I used is really dark. So what you can do now, instead of adding a third color of ink, is you can take a medium from your stash and add it to your project. This is some Cosmic Shimmer Glitter Kiss in Sahara Gold Sand. It's a beautiful product that is just going to complement the aqua and the teal so beautifully. And so you can just see I'm taking my palette knife and picking up just a small amount of that product and scraping it onto the stencil, ensuring that I have the stencil held down with my hand, and then of course the tape. And here's the peel reveal. You can just see the beautiful detail that adds, and some dimension as well. Now I've let that dry, and now I'm going to go ahead and start to assemble my card. I'm going to add some repositionable tape runner to the back of my card front here and add that onto a mat. Now I did cut the mat again with my Master Layouts 2 from Gina K. I used the layering die to cut out that tranquil teal matte that matches the tranquil teal ink perfectly. This is just going to provide just a beautiful little bit of detailed darker cardstock around the edge of my white cardstock, which is just absolutely stunning. I love how that frames the card in. Now I'm going to take a little bit of foam tape and I'm going to add that to the back of my tranquil teal paper. And I'm going to just add that so that it is going to add a little bit of dimension to this card front on my card base. I'll go ahead and take the release paper off the back of that foam tape. I'm just going to use a craft pick to help me do that. And once I have that released off of the backing of the foam tape, I'll be ready to add this onto my A2 sized top folding portrait card base. I love how the master layouts allow you to cut everything just so evenly, and it's all just like perfect sizing. And this is just going to look really nice with that white margin on my card for my card. So I'm just going to add that on, just trying to make sure that that's on there nice and straight. And you can just see how that gorgeous stenciling on the front of the card is just so beautiful. Now that little hello layering stencil bundle comes with this hello die, comes with the scripty word hello and the shadow die, which is perfect. I've cut the shadow die from some vellum, and I've cut the scripty hello 3 times, I think, from some black cardstock. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to layer the hello words, the scripty black cardstock, together just by adding a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back of the word, and I'll do that with each of the different layers to add them together so that they're a really nice, significant, layered sentiment for my project. And it's just going to make them kind of really nice and sturdy and substantial when I add those onto that vellum shadow layer. So here you can just see I've picked up the scripty hello. I'm just going to wiggle it around so that it is lined up on the other layer, and just wiggling those together so that they're all lined up perfectly. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little more adhesive on the back of this layered piece and add this onto my vellum layer, shadow layer. So here you can just see I'm going to finish that up, and I'm going to adhere that onto the vellum. The vellum is just going to provide just that little bit of extra texture, just a little bit of extra detail for my project. I love how that looks. It's just nice and soft. Looks beautiful, and it's going to look really nice on the card as well. So now that that's all finished, I'm going to add some adhesive on the back of that. And I do want to make sure that this adheres well to my card base, or my card front, I should say, noting that there is that cosmic shimmer on there, which is going to be a little tricky to ensure that it is adhered to all of that the different product on the card front. So what I'm going to do to make sure that that sticks there is I'll just take paperweight and I'll go ahead and put that on there so that it just gets nicely adhered. And that's going to finish off my card today. Friends, I hope you enjoyed watching me create this card with some beautiful layering stencils from Gina K. Stencils really are amazing tools in our stash to create some beautiful, beautiful effects on our cards and other projects. Have an amazing day, friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.